90% of startups fail in India. But here's what most people don't know. Mentored startups have 70% survival rate. That's just not a number. That's the difference between founder's dream and the founder's grave. Today we are asking why mentorship is the missing ingredient and how do you get it right. Welcome back to the sustainability side, and I'm your host Dr. Sama. And today we are diving into a conversation that every aspiring entrepreneur, investor, and a change maker in India needs to hear. We are tracking the question that keeps founders up at night. How do you build a startup that doesn't just survive but thrives sustainably? Not sustainability as a buzzword on a pitch deck, but as a lived operational reality when you are bootstrapping, pivoting, and fighting for market share. If you have missed the past episodes, well, don't worry, I got you covered. You could check here, or you could also check the whole playlist in below. My guest today is Mr. Manish Kothari, Director and CEO of Rhino Machines, a company that turned waste recovery into 33-year legacy of innovations. From transforming foundry dust and plastic waste into building materials to conveying multi stakeholder ecosystems around circular economy principles, Manish Ji embodies what sustainable development goals of the Partnership for Goal look like in practice. But here's what makes this conversation different. Manish Ji isn't just an operator, he is also a mentor with the HERA program under Emperatech India Foundation, working with emerging entrepreneurs across developing regions. He has seen both sides, the grit of building and the gaps that makes or breaks young founders or entrepreneurs. Today, we are going to explore the mentorship that deficits in India's startup ecosystem, the brutal gap between sustainability theory and a ground level implementation, and the cost efficient grassroots methods that can make environmental responsibility accessible, not as an elite. So, whether you are a founder trying to embed sustainability into your business model, an investor evaluating impact venture, or a policymaker designing frameworks that actually work, this conversation is just for you. Let's get into it with a small introduction. Sing it loud, let's unite on the sustainability side. Feel the love day and night. Let's turn the tides, make a change today. Together we define our sustainable way with every step we take. We rise and glow on the sustainability side. Let the give us flow. Here we are having our another session today with us, Manish Kothari ji. Build a machine. He just turns garbage into gold, literally. But his biggest innovation wasn't the machine. It was realizing that no founder can do this alone. Today on the podcast, he is revealing the partnership, the mentorship, and the unglamorous truths about building sustainable startup in India. Manish ji, welcome to our podcast, the sustainability side.
Namaskar, thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you again so much for taking out your time, from building ecosystem and mentoring the next generation to share your insights, of course, with us today. It's an absolute honor to have you with us, sir, on the show.
Thank you so much for taking out the time and inviting me to share whatever I have experienced or know. So I would be happy to share the journey or whatever experiences I have had.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much again. So, without a further ado, I guess we can start our session. Continuing with that, I would say, like Manish saw, definitely throughout your journey with Rhino Machines and your work with HERA program, you have witnessed both sides of mentorship equation. What would you see as a critical gap in how mentorship is structured today for sustainability focused startups in India? And more importantly, how does this experience of a senior entrepreneur like yourself translate into practical, actionable, and guidance that helps younger founders move from theory to implementation, especially when they are working with resource constraints?
It is somewhere in 2015 that I started to realize this difference. More so when I was invited, not me, but our enterprise was selected for Rhino Machines was selected for an energy efficiency innovation in a UNIDO program, UNIDO-led program by the Ministry of MSME, UNIDO, JEF, and all of them. Global Clean Tech Innovation Program. Now, it was the first time I had moved out from a regular business day-to-day activity of doing something, collecting knowledge, and continuously working, surviving in the competitive market. But I said, why don't we take this opportunity? And the essence of that entire program, which I understood, it was a
Hmm.
4 month accelerator program. There was a clean tech open from the US who were curating this program. A lot of insights starting from business model canvas and know your customer, value proposition, understanding things which really I did not know at that time. I had no experience of doing, having been basically an engineer and got into manufacturing. The essence was how to make innovation sustainable. Okay, so there. So I think now when I reflect back, sustainability has two sides. One is to make the environment sustainable, and then look at making the business itself sustainable, or the innovation itself sustainable. I was assigned a mentor at that time as a program structure, Deepak Gadiaji. Then I started to understand that there was a difference between advisory and mentorship. And through this entire journey, today, when I look at myself as a startup, for example, at that time, so I was starting something new. This context of a mentor and advisor started to give me more clarity that he was invested in my success. He would guide me, and he said that I am not from the foundry industry, which I was coming from. He has been in the solar, thermal, biogas, and an excellent social entrepreneur by himself. I could learn from how he was doing things. So it
Hmm.
was not about his teaching me what to do. It was more about following somebody with experience, following somebody who had walked that path, somebody
Hmm.
who does it day in day out. And there
Hmm.
I find that true mentorship is not about telling people what to do, but by demonstration of doing things which you can observe and learn from them. And the same thing I could relate to when in 2018, the same UN connections, I landed into a scoping mission discussion. What would be the role of MSMEs in 2030, 2030? Again at the UN House, is when I was exposed to the HERA program. It's actually the Empretec program. It's a program, capacity building program, flagship program under UNCTAD, United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. And Arnab Chakrabarti ji, the national director who brought the program to India, was explaining how this entire idea of startup experiment or that experience was there for about 6 years in the 1980s, from 1982 to 1988. Three 2 year projects were done, and how from a very low success rate of 1.5 2%, where startups were given very academically we're doing very good, given all the guidance, teachers, advisors to help them to make a business, but they were not able to go beyond sustaining their businesses. More than 2% of them were not able to do this. Compared to that, in the third cohort, when they attached people with that hunger, so there was some system which they identified people who really wanted to do something, attached them to senior practicing entrepreneurs, some few football coaches who would demonstrate resilience, who would demonstrate competitiveness, who would demonstrate that today if I lose, tomorrow I have to get up and start running again
Yeah.
and emulating them.
Hmm.
So that was a different kind of mentorship. And that program, there was no money given. They would only say, you just follow them and figure out your way.
Hmm.
And those startups success rate as per the research was more than 95%. Now,
Okay.
this context is, so when we are saying that startup success rate and how to make startups sustainable
Yeah.
in the space of sustainability. Okay. Somewhere the role of a mentor,
Hmm.
not as an advisor, but somebody who's invested in your success, somebody you can emulate. And how do you emulate somebody? Basically, they have experience, they have gone through failures, they have gone through successes, they are practicing
Hmm.
every day. So that is a context which I realized, and since 2018, when I did the workshop, and that's when the HERA program was launched by Honorable Minister Suresh Prabhuji
Hmm.
at the UN House, and I was part of that cohort, fortunately. And I've seen that evolving, uh, how senior entrepreneurs could their practice could be made available to those who are aspiring to do something. And even as a senior entrepreneur, I'm always in learning mode. So I was learning from others at the same time. So it's not that I know everything. The one thing which I know is that I don't know everything, which is that acceptance, that, and that's where the role of a senior entrepreneur or a peer entrepreneur, uh, because everybody is a new. I've been learning from people who are very young. I mean, people who are around similar age, people from diverse backgrounds. uh, and it was not about technology only. It was about the behavioral aspects of what does it take to become a good entrepreneur. What is that entrepreneurial mindset which is
Hmm.
required?
Hungry or health conscious? Discover Nelagam, your trending destination for heritage nutrition. The world's moving to real foods, and we are setting the pace. From high fiber millet noodles that instantly hit for busy Indian homes to our powerful traditional rice picked for immunity and pure taste. Dive into millet flakes that made for crunchy satiety and heart health with gluten-free varieties for all ages. And don't miss our delicious millet pasta, rich in protein, light on your stomach, with trending flavors like multi-millet and kutravelli, crafted for nutrition without compromise. India's top creators are making us viral, but your taste buds are the real reviewers. Go beyond trendy, choose heritage, choose health, try Nelegam, the real food influencer.
Understood. So I was having this question in the back of my mind, like, okay, so once I mentor, they have moved on to other stage. So, but you shed a light on us. You made a reality check. Like even as a mentor, you have to be constantly upgrading. So thank you so much for that. So continuing on, the next question is like your silica plastic block innovation exemplifies that what you call like waste recovery and energy efficiency as a social responsibility. But what strikes me is like how you're not just solving one problem, you are stitching together an entire ecosystem involving foundries, plastic waste collectors, CSR initiatives, and even other educational institutions. This feels like sustainable development goals of 17, which is like partnership for the goals in action. So my question is like, can you walk me through a real example from your journey where this multi-stakeholder collaboration either succeeded brilliantly or taught you a hard lesson? What could be like an aspiring entrepreneur should understand about building these circular economy ecosystems versus trying to be going solo?
So first of all, I start from the end. Going solo is not at all a problem. It's to do with self-esteem of my own self-esteem. But perhaps the balance is also important. That going solo may not work because you have to just step back. And I was explaining this to, I can recall about 2 years ago, I was on a train
Mm-hmm.
with, I was as a resource person on Jagriti Yatra 2023. And a lot of young and people from villages and different regions were there. And I used this understanding of sustainable businesses from, again, picking up from UNCTAD's business linkages framework. So it's a very open document available where they talk of four pillars of business. Okay? Market, technology, finance, and culture. So culture is an entrepreneurial mindset. And I was explaining this, if you are doing any business, anything in your life, you have to look at who is it that you are going to sell, where is the money going to come from, what is the technique or technology you are going to use, and do you understand the behavioral aspects of building a business. Are you understanding what is risk? Are you able to calculate risk? Are you able to take initiative? Do you have the goals properly set up? Are you understanding which direction you're going? Is your direction clear? So those clarity points. And the same, then I would relate this to the silica plastic block example, which you started. So when we started this SPV project, this was somewhere in 2017-18, and it was more of demand from the industry how to help us to find ways to convert the dust, or handle the dust, or manage our solid waste discard dust coming out from the sand reclamation solution which he had made at that time. So that was the foundry industry. And personally had no idea of what plastic technology was about. And we, along with my research partner Rajnikant ji, so we have been doing R&D for quite some time, our own internal development activities. And we started looking for different options. We tried with cement, mixing with fly ash brick. It didn't work out.
Hmm.
And then we found that this dust and sand is able to bond with plastic. We also took guidance from another a practicing science innovator in Anand,
Hmm.
Mr. Jha. So while we are doing something with plastics, and we were able to do some trials with our own machines in an open mixer, we found that it was not energy efficient. We were consuming a lot of energy, and then we said, why don't we discuss with somebody else outside our enterprise? And he just said, why don't you use something which is used for plastic injection molding? Okay, so that was not our subject. We were from the foundry industry. And then we started experimenting, doing something, and I think we have made 4 5 different contraptions, different versions of an extruder, which could which was a mix of two domains: foundry industry, which was handling sand, and plastic industry, which was handling plastic. So that
Hmm.
was a technology piece. So
Right.
the first pillar was technology. The second pillar was market.
Hmm.
Now, uh, the market requires the product to be cost effective. So if I look at it from a triangle: faster, better, cheaper, or cheaper, better, faster. Three
Hmm.
vertices of a triangle. We were able to get a better technology because we were able to convert two waste streams into some form of material, a composite material, into some form of shape. But the brick which we were producing was not cheaper than what was available today. So we started working on that, and that's how we developed the extruder and all of that. But still, there was a long journey for this. And when we started experimenting, we set up our own R&D pilot facility. The problem started with supply chain of plastic. So it was very surprising. Even today, a lot of people get surprised that plastic is available everywhere. Why you are not? Why? So this was in 2019, 2020. We are
Okay.
talking,
Hmm.
and pre-COVID and then post-COVID era.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was during that duration while we were struggling how to get plastic, and we were not having sufficient plastic to run the
Hmm.
research project also in our
Hmm.
factory. Somewhere this message reached to Amritaben Patel, who's ex-chairperson NDTV,
Hmm.
and a national awardee, and she was trying to find how to make her hospital, which she was heading as a chairperson,
Hmm.
plastic free.
Hmm.
So there was a convergence of the her need and our need. What she
Hmm.
wanted to dispose is what we wanted to consume. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the value chain linkage. Similarly, there were few women from Inner Wheel Club Rotary Anand,
Hmm.
Deepa Niyogiji, I remember she called me. We are collecting plastic. Will you take the plastic for us? Now, it's like I was hungry and somebody says, Shall I give you food? So, but what that gave another dimension was that when you are building such an ecosystem, okay, when you're building such a technology, we also need to look at the multiple stakeholders which are connected to this system. And I started to understand that community connection is so important. So it's not only that you need to work with government, municipal bodies, because if you go back and look at the source of the waste is coming from people, and the municipal corporation is only facilitating the collection. It's helping the community facilitate lifting its plastic, whereas the original origin of the plastic is by the people. So if you are able to engage with people at a community level, it works, and that's when segregation at source, connecting collecting plastic from hospitals, people, voluntary collection.
Hmm.
So this was also an important pillar in the cultural context, because it's not that okay, it's a 1 2 3 formula that you just write it
Hmm.
down and the business works. So it was about thinking. It's about looking at different alternatives. There's no standard system, so that thinking, entrepreneurial thinking part was
Hmm.
constantly at the back of building this business. So that's the third pillar.
Hmm.
And finance, I think, is more of an outcome of these three, because if the internal thinking comes from inside, it's an inside job. The rest of the
Hmm.
three are outside jobs. Okay? So
Hmm.
look at business from one is inside and three are outside. The market is where the money comes from.
Hmm.
So money is an outcome of being able to sell the product. Okay, so or
Right.
sell the idea, sell the technology, sell the services. So I look at this Silica Plastic Block as a great learning for me since it's been 7 years now.
Hmm.
A lot of people would say that you're not skilled. I said
Hmm.
no, it's not a matter of skill. I'm starting trying to understand the business model
Hmm.
and get all the cogs in the wheel together. Fortunately, since I got connected to the Embretech Hira program
Hmm.
since 2018, I also understand. I started building my own capacity in behavioral thinking and entrepreneurial thinking.
Hmm.
How to network, how to connect people together, how to, and one of the very important elements was finding shared purpose.
Hmm.
So when you look at building any ecosystem in a value chain, and this again connects to the startup idea as we
Hmm.
spoke, there's a shared purpose of the mentor and the mentee. If you don't have a
Hmm.
shared purpose, then your relationship doesn't last. Okay,
Right.
so both need to be invested in each other for something common that they which wish to achieve. Okay?
Hmm.
And similarly, that expands into the society. And getting the ecosystem together means first we need to find a shared purpose
Hmm.
before we start to do anything with the technology. And so now my focus has shifted from marketing the technology or the product to finding what would the other person connect to. What is that
Hmm.
purpose which aligns? Is the idea which I am giving is something which the other person needs actually, or I am just pushing it up?
Hmm.
Okay, like just take this. So that's where the ecosystem building idea
Hmm.
and shared purpose as the binding agent comes together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really inspiring actually. Like when you were explaining, I was having this thought like, okay, definitely when somebody is like going through all these kind of things, it's not that easy. The patience is a very big thing with the like constant working hard and not giving up. The mindset is very important.
Feel the joy, let's unite on the sustainability side, making waves, shining light from the city streets to the open skies. Together we rise with a love
that defies